off the top, I want to say rest in peace, King On. Like, I'm not gonna be one of the people like I used to listen to all your music and all that other stuff. I've listened to a little bit of your stuff, and from what I've heard, it was dope. So, like, I'm not gonna say I have a close connection to you, like probably your fans or even like the people you don't real with, because I don't know you like that. But with that being said, I didn't have a problem with you. So rest in peace, King Von. That's one thing. Second of all, I don't know really like. See, I seen that video of Dirk finding out that his partner got shot, and I don't know he was pronounced dead then, but that I don't know that shit hurt. Like I would never ever want to find out that my family member or my closest friend on IG live like that. Like I never want to find out that my partners got hit like that. That shit was sad. I don't know if y'all seen that video, but he was just like having a time of his life, promoting his homeboy song. Next thing you know, you see people like Vaughn got shot, Vaughn got shot, and you can see like his expression like happy to like yo they fucking with me to like are you fucking serious, like that shit got you like that like that shit got to me, that shit got to me. um like there's a lot to unveil about this, and one thing I'm gonna say this, nobody is ever going to fix Chicago. Because a lot of people, I know a lot of people gonna have their agendas. It's just niggas doing this to niggas and all that shit. I seen Tommy Soto when yours was like niggas are doing this to niggas, which he has a point to say. I'm not really gonna refute that with him, but I've always said that Chicago has been gang culture since the antebellum era. All right. Now, if we're gonna be talking about how gangs, so white gangs and mafia and black gangs kind of differ, we can have that conversation. Because I've always said I'm pretty sure white people done killed more than black people. It's just never been in the news. I always said that. I feel like when it comes to gang culture or like mafia and all that other shit, at least with the mafia, they're about family. It's like if you're in this, and I think black gangs are about family too, but they also like white. I think what difference between white gangs and black gangs is I don't want to bring the police to the streets, or if they do, we pay them off because we know the cops don't get paid that much. And like the cops is like you're more or less willing to take that bribe because yeah, you don't get paid enough, and you see these motherfuckers moving, like doing what the fuck they're doing. They're in these nice ass suits, they're in these nice ass Italian suits and all that other stuff. This is what I've seen from the mafia. Is like they own these clubs. It's like you want protection, like weird, like y'all know how mafia moves. I feel like this shit is like is revolve around discreetness. And in black gangs, you just see us out there. We're not discreet about this shit. We're like grunts. Like we're out there, and niggas just blasting people for no reason. And this, like I said, I don't want to make this a white thing and black thing. Chicago, he's from O Block, where same place as Chief Keef is from, the O Block. And I've always said that gang, and I'm gonna say it again, the gang culture around Chicago has been around since the fucking antebellum era. If you really look at it, gang culture's been around since the antebellum era. Al Capone is probably the most celebrated gangster in Chicago. Like he's had movies done about him. Like I keep telling y'all like white people don't like y'all, and like a lot of people's like white people more or less they fucking love gangs too. They love gangs. They like the biker gangs and all that other shit. All right, don't let people. It's like just like how we um. This is why I always like disparage people who's like, oh, black people support that gangster life. It's like white people do too. White people do too. It's like they like one of the best. If you ask them what's the best shows on TV, they probably say The Sopranos. They probably say Breaking Bad. They probably say Sons of Anarchy, and those a lot deal with like drugs or gang violence, especially The Sopranos and especially Sons of Anarchy. And those are good shows. And don't get me wrong, as a black person, The Wire is really good. I think The Wire is a magnificent fucking show. But even in The Wire, like them niggas are smart. I don't care what anybody like. The cops had to be extra grimy to catch those niggas. Like they wasn't like the grunt works were out there doing that, but to get the top two kingpins, they had they had to fucking like really catch them. So that's saying something. I've always said that about gang culture. It's like white people can, because a lot of people like, and I've seen this. A lot of people debate this with Tommy Sotomayor, and it's just like, oh, white people do it too. And he's like, name something where white people do it. And the thing is, we don't have evidence. And the reason why I've always said like, and this is where I think Tommy is smart because I think he's like the way he like where's the question is like where do you see it on TV? Because our shit is always and I've said this many a time. Our shit is always on the fucking media. Our shit is on. It's like we know what's going on in the hood, but we don't know what's going on in the countrysides. We don't know what's going on in the mountains. It's like the only white on white crime we know is the Hatfields and McCoys. And we not even sure about that. I'm not even sure about that. The Hatfields and McCoys. The fucking Italians, they used to beef with the Irishes, and sometimes the black people. So, but niggas, we like, and I've said this all the time. Like, who do you know? Who do you know that we're bloods? We show everybody we're bloods and all that other stuff. I think this is getting. I don't want to ramble on, but one thing I want to say about King Von, and I'll say this about FBG Duck, and I say this about any other fucking Chicago rapper that got killed in Chicago. Born a soldier, die a soldier. Them niggas raised fucking killers. Them niggas are raised fucking killers. It's like your reflection of a hood is what you would like. These niggas, especially if you see in a lot of drill music, these niggas are in there with fucking guns pointing at the camera. Like a lot of these niggas talk about bang bang, shoot them up. Um, these niggas done live short lives. Let's be real. Like a lot of these Chicago drill rappers, they live their life, and sometimes they don't escape their life. We don't really see like it's a few times where you see like someone that's been in that gang culture and strays away from that gang culture, like your Jay Z's, your Ice Cubes, your Nas, your G's. Niggas, I'm not in this trap like Ti's. I'm not in the trap no more. Like I do this shit. I'm not in the motherfucking trap no more. Some of these rappers now, like I, which is I think is a problem, or at least some of these young rappers. But I think we're just looking at them at a young. I feel like if they're doing this shit 10 years from now, like these niggas, it's their mentality. But because like FPG Duck's not even 30. I don't even think King Von's is like 30. He's like 25. A lot of these niggas are like at the height of their testosterone and all that other shit. So and so it's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot to uncover about this, and I might even have to talk about. By the time I get to the podcast next week, we might have a lot to talk about, and hopefully, my man Q is going to be on there because we talked about FBG Duck. So, and a lot of things that bothered me and a lot of things were brought into it because I remember like Asian Doll. And Asian Doll, she's like, don't even talk to me unless you got three bodies. I like killers. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, I don't even mess with women like that. I really don't. Like, I may talk to them, and they may be good to fuck. And I'm saying this, and I'm really, they saying this, they may be good to fuck, but sometimes they don't have your best interests. Interests. They're just out some, and like, I do think some of these hood rat women, and I'm not saying all. I said I'm like literally trying to single out some of these hood rat women, like really get off of seeing these men die for each other, just for their attention. And the thing is, it's like, does that make them better? Is she's gonna make you a better person? And 9 times out of 10 they don't. They just like that violence. And I seen this on Twitter because this girl, she was like, and this was even like no game violence. It was Chris Cuomo, and he was talking about, he was getting into an argument with another white boy, and Chris Cuomo was like, "I will fuck your shit up." Like, And she was like, "Why does that make?" And she was like, "Why does that make me wet?" And I was like, "Yo, primal rage get a girl's juices flowing." And I do think, and I do agree with that. I don't. I'm pretty sure some women would disagree, but I know, like, I know that sometimes, like, seeing a nigga at his apex, at his most alpha, yes, it does get the women's juices flowing. I remember in high school, and this wasn't even like no gang violence shit. We was watching Ali and Frazier, and this girl, she was getting. I can't remember her name, but I wouldn't even say her name though. But I remember like it was history class, and we was watching Ali and Frazier. Well, I don't know why, but we was just watching Ali and Frazier and shit, and they was boxing, and it turned on. She was like, she go, "Ooh, this shit like." Watching these two niggas, I think she said something along the lines of, and like, ooh, watching these two niggas turn on. I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, and like I'm looking at her, she is literally getting turned on by that shit. Now, she could be a fan of boxing, I don't know, but I've seen that a lot where like niggas is fighting and like that shit will like turn a woman on, especially if you fight for a woman. I remember one time where I got like I got jealous of another nigga and that shit turned my girl on. I was like, why? Like I like this is one time where I admit that I was kind of jealous. I wasn't like really gonna fight it, but I'm just like territorial. But the fact that that the way I reacted like that kind of turned her on. It's like that's not good. And the back of my mind was like, after I calmed down, I was like, that's not good. But I guess a lot of women wants to feel protected, and that protect. And I say this all the time. I don't care who you are. If you're able to protect your woman, that shit will get them juices flowing more than anything. If you show off this, and this is why like a lot of people do believe in alpha male and that alpha male mentality because that shit does turn women the fuck on. I don't care. A lot of women can be like deny that shit, but when you do some shit and like you take charge and like you have the means to back it up. Let's just say that because a lot of people they try to do the alpha shit and don't work for them. If you have the means to back it up, that shit will get your women's juices flowing, and that's what Asia Doll was like. I think that's why she was like that. But I've also said like that shit is also fucking dangerous. It's like you get what you deserve. Like you want killers, you're gonna have killers around you and all that shit. Now she was really hurt because King Von, I think she fucked with King Von at one point, and she was like, "Shit, I want to die too." Now me, I've always said there's power in the tongue. There's power of the fucking tongue. A lot of our youth, some especially if we live in the hoods, a lot of these people don't really feel like they can make it through 25 or like going past 25 is a fucking blessing. So that's why some of these old heads is just like it's cool to be old. Like Gilly Kid said, "Yo, it's cool to be old. We ain't gotta live fast and die young." I don't want to live fast and die young. I want to grow old and have a family. Me, like I think like that's why I said I've always like thanked my growing up to me having a father in my life. And my father showing me like there's other ways to live. You ain't gotta be out there in the streets acting like a fucking fool. Like my father I don't care what anybody say, my father is about as alpha as anybody. But a lot of like but I've always one thing I always said about this Chicago violence and this mentality. First things first, ain't nobody gonna do shit about it. I don't think nobody's gonna fix that problem. Not Black Lives Matter. Maybe like people that want to stop gang violence and show people there's better ways. There may be the only one, but let's be real. Nobody's ever going to stop gang violence. They're just forever going to use this as a scapegoat for their political views and agendas, like everybody's been doing, especially the fucking left. It was like, oh, Black Lives Matter, but like is a lot of I hear this a lot. Oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, but fucking I'm drawing a blank. What about the killers in Chicago? How come you not do nothing to killers in Chicago? And honestly, and this is where I thank Tommy Sotomayor for his honesty. And he said it. He said, because a lot of people say, "What are you doing for it?" And usually that's my retort. And he said, "Those are not my people." You know what? I respect that. He told you up front, and that's one thing I can respect. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. That's a fucking bitch. I know people is like, that's a bitch ass answer. It's just like he just said it. Those are not my people. It's just those are not like I know a lot of people not gonna like. To me, I respect that because if we're gonna call them out, because to me, if those of our brothers and sisters, like you said, we should be able to help them out. Even me, I said, well, you can't fix everybody. And I don't think. Do I think Chicago is too far to fix? I don't know, but I've always said like I always made this joke that one day they're gonna build a wall around Chicago instead of Mexico, and just let people just bang it out until they fucking die. Like that shit, like the Boondocks where they had a gate around electric fence around Terrebonne, Georgia. And I know Terrebonne, Georgia is a fucking made up place, but it was like the hood was so fucking fucked up that they had to put a fucking gate electric fence around there. There was no cops. It was basically just them. And it's like you really had to fucking strive for you. I feel like one of these. I jokingly say this, but I would not be surprised if they do that one time. Like build a wall or electric fence around Chicago. It's so bad that we just like don't go there. Don't go there. Let them niggas shoot it out. Let them niggas bang it out until they fucking die and shit. And then take over Chicago and renovate it. I wouldn't be surprised if white America does that. I said that many times about Chicago. But I do think it's worth saving because it's still a big city and it's one of those big black locations. So, but like the kids, but when you hear weekends of like 50 people getting shot over a shootout and all that other shit, it's just ridiculous. Like every weekend, like at least 50 to 100 people getting shot. That shit is ridiculous. And like Trump was gonna handle it if he fucking cared. And in the way like I felt like he was gonna handle it, black people was not gonna like it. But it was just like, what else you going to do? So it like a lot of like this came on shit, and yes, I know I'm not from Chicago, but this shit I feel like it's gonna open a lot. Cause like though I'm not from Chicago, I am from DMV. I've like some like in the words of Ice Cube, every hood's the same. Like this shit happens in Compton. This shit happens in where I'm from. This shit happens in like I used to live in Forest Creek. That shit was hood. Shit was very fucking hood. Like if you ain't from there, don't come there hood. Like that's one of those places. So it's just a lot of the. So you hear a lot of that coming from there, and excuse me, I'm like everywhere. I'm not starting over though, but I am everywhere. But this shit, like right here, it does have an eye opener. We need, and the one thing I said we need to save the youth because especially Chicago, because some of these people doing the shooting, they're not even like fucking teenagers. They're like 9 year olds with guns. And yes, I know hip hop, we had our game violence in there, but at least we had a balance. I've always said that we had a balance of our conscious and a gangster rap shit. But even in our gangster rap shit, and I've tell people all the time, in the gangster raps, they do tell you, like they too tell you, you don't want to be doing this if you're not about that life. I think a lot of people skip that part about in gangster rap where they do give you valuable lessons. If they say, if you're not about this life, don't be about it. Like I feel like that's a lesson in itself and that people don't that look over. The biggest lesson I feel like in that gangster rap tell you is if you're not from Mount Hood, get the fuck around here. If I'm telling you that where I'm from is like killers and drug dealers and gangbangers and all that other shit, I feel like and like you want to act all hard. It's like you cannot come up in my hood and like do all this rah rah shit without niggas coming at you. So if you're not from my hood, especially if you're not about that life, so if you ain't from my hood, you best around get the fuck from around here. Like a lot of like I know a lot of people look at that like some type of macho shit, but it's real shit. I always say that is real shit. If you're not from my hood, get the fuck around here. And honestly, white people in them sundown towns too. Uh, that's what they're like. Especially if you're black in a sundown town. It's like oh, you need to be out here before dawn, like before the sun go down, before the white people fuck with you and try to kill you. Now, like I said, it's one thing like, and it can't be proven. And the thing is, with even this, I do feel like, yeah, like there might be there might be some bigger white on white crime, but I don't think half of that gets recorded as much as black on black crime does. And the thing is like, if you're going, but statistically, I can't prove that, and that's the problem. And that's why I feel like Tommy Sotomayor wins a lot of those arguments, because statistically, you can't prove that. It probably does happen, and I say this a lot. It probably does happen, but statistically, you cannot prove that. So, but you go to fucking old places like Chicago, and hell, even places like DC, and it's just like 50 people have been shot this weekend in Chicago. It's like, damn, you see this in the news. And then the next week, 40 people shot, 30 dead. Damn. It was like next week, 100 people got shot, about 50 dead. It's like, damn. It was like, everything was nice, and then there's a shootout. It was like, God damn. So, like I said, this King Von shit, and like I said, I'm sorry for this one. I'm everywhere with it, because I do feel like there's a lot to uncover about this. But it all comes down to this with King Von, and I said this about FBG Duck, and I say this about a lot of them niggas. Born a soldier, die a soldier. Them niggas really don't give a fuck. Them niggas are really about their life out there. It's not a game. It's really not a game. So I want people to recollect on this. And I'm not even dissing Chicago. I don't want nobody to think I'm dissing Chicago, because they're probably agreeing. A lot of those people, like especially like King Von, a lot of his ops talking about, I'm smoking the pack. Like, I'm smoking the pack. That's how he is. A lot of people's like, that is disturbing. It's like, yes, it is, but that's how they get down out there. That's, but like I said, ain't nobody's gonna do nothing to fix Chicago. And I feel like this will forever be how Chicago is, until like somebody's gonna be brave enough to go in there and stop shit. And that's all I gotta say about that. Let me know what y'all think. Till then, my name is Oskino Fly, and I'm out. Peace.